It's awful to have your phone at the table. I would just ban it. Because one of the things that really does concern me is that today's generation do not understand the importance of human interaction.
Yeah.
There is so much that we will learn about human beings away from the phone. So if you are allowing your child to use the phone at the dining table, you're depriving them of learning how human beings interact. It's a really, really bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't allow it at the table, even going out. I mean, I can remember when my children were a bit younger and we were going out and there was always scrolling on the phone. It only happened a couple of times, and then they knew Dad would go ape if that was.
So what do you say? Phones away and not
just
allowed.
Phones away and not allowed. And
What about you?
It's
What
a form
goes
of
on at your
addiction,
house?
really.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think it is difficult. And I think, look, it's okay for a child to be on a phone at times, but I think at the dinner table, no. And I think that human connection thing is so important, and the effect on mental health and like obsessive behaviour. Like, we know all these things about overuse of phones and obviously computer games, which also can link to phones.
But how often realistically is anyone really sitting around a table and eating these days?
And that's the thing.
Truthfully.
And that's the thing. So we will have, let's just say on a Sunday, we often would sit around the table, and at that point, no one's on their phones. We're having nice conversation, etc. And I was just saying before, we're actually doing less of watching the TV and doing games nights as a family, which is really nice.
You eat at the table and watch the television at the same time as well, do you?
No.
I was going to say.
No. I'm saying I'm saying like.
No, but what you were saying is that quite a lot of time you sit having dinner in front of the telly.
Yeah, we do that.
That's not good.
Yeah, well, not always, but sometimes. Sometimes we do that. But I think that human connection thing is really important. But I also think it's about balance. So, for example, I do let my son use the phone, but he also plays a lot of football. A lot of football from the minute he gets out of bed.
His dinner, he doesn't. Right, let's go to Peter. Peter, what do you think? You're in London. What about phones?
Good afternoon, team. Good afternoon, Vanessa.
Hello, nice to talk to you.
No, I think they should... And you very much. I think they should be banned. I think I agree with Suzy, well, both of the panelists actually. That connection isn't there. You know, if you're scrolling while you're supposed, and for goodness sake, put some time aside for family time. You know, even if it's there is no reason why you can justify having a texting. I mean, friends of mine, their kids text from the lounge to bring some juice to the kitchen, and the mother did it. I mean, excuse me, you know, what do we live? So no, I think they should be banned. I don't think it's healthy mentally, and I think, as I think Suzy was saying, mentally it's not. I just don't think it's good, and it's not necessary.
What do you
Certainly
remember
not in our
about
household.
mealtimes when you were growing up, Peter, and the kind of conversation that occurred or didn't?
Yeah, I'm not saying my family were perfect by any means, but what we did have is we had our dinner. Dad wouldn't have the telly on, wouldn't read the paper. You know, we chatted about our day, what happened and what we were going to do and different things, just family conversation, the art of which I think is being lost in society today.
Well, it's hardly surprising, is it? Everybody sits there with their head down, gawping at a phone. How can they possibly learn the art of conversation? My dad used to use dinner or lunch or whatever it was as a kind of forum for all sorts of education. For example, you had to learn to tell a good story. You had to learn to kind of be worth your weight in social cachet. You know, you had to bring something to the party, say something entertaining, learn some stuff. And, you know, you talked about political education before. That's when he would say,
100%.
do you know what a communist is? Do you understand what this strike is about? Do you know there's a you know, just as is happening in Birmingham now, in the 70s it was happening in the streets of London, that the litter was piling up. There was a great big strike. Do you realise what's happening? What do you think about it? And that kind of thing. And as kids, my sister and I would sit there, and I think sometimes we think, oh, just let us eat our chicken, for God's sake. You know, don't. And my mother would be weighing in on the table manners every minute. Keep your wings in, and otherwise don't eat with your elbows out. No elbows on the table. Don't talk with your mouth full. How we could answer my father's political interrogation without talking with our mouths full was almost impossible, but we had to somehow learn to do that. You also had to learn to, you know, to pass the gravy, to offer everyone else water, you know, all the kind of civilising type stuff that you don't learn if you're just sitting there with your head down
100%.
scrolling. Let's go to Janet in Glasgow. Janet, what do you feel about this? Jeanette.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
I think it's absolutely and totally rude to sit at the table with the phone, especially if someone has gone to the bother of making a lovely meal for you, even a simple meal. They've taken their time out to make food for you. Also, It teaches children how to communicate with adults.
Exactly.
It gives time to talk about school, about what you've done during the day, or maybe to even speak to your parents or carers or other members of your family about what's going on in your life and what's going on in their life.
100%. Jeanette, thank you. Let me quickly go to Maria. I want to fit the call in. Maria, you take a stand on this one, don't you?
Oh, I do. And my children range from in their 20s to 10.
Right.
We do not allow any gadgets, any phones at that table. You're there to eat your dinner. That's it. We're there to talk about your day, what you've been doing, just making sure that things are okay in their lives and there's nothing going on, and just engaging with each other.
Yes.
We're doing what we call, I'm only 40s, we're doing old-fashioned things like communicating with each other.
I mean, it can be, Maria, I commend you for it, and it can be a very important time to find out if your kids are all right or not.
It's so
are they
important.
happy or not?
Exactly.